Hello, I'm Carl and this is ProCycle's Tech Talk. Today we want to talk about the use of anti-seize paste. It's commonly thought, oh, you got to use this on everything, or you use it on nothing, or you shouldn't use this, and we're going to talk about the two different types of paste and how to use it. The first is the two different types. There's a copper-based paste, and there's also an aluminum-based paste. What anti-seize actually is on either of these, it's the metal, the copper or the aluminum, or zinc sometimes in the silver, and it's super fine ground to a powder, and it's mixed with like a bearing grease, some fine grease, and this is used as a lubricant you could use on hardware, so when you install things, brake calipers, subframe panels, things like that, it won't allow the metal to seize or gall up, which could be an issue if you, especially on hot surfaces, if you install something and it's there for 6 months, a year, a couple years down the road. I'm sure you've all found it's impossible to get those nuts and bolts loose to take apart something to replace brake pads. Using anti-seize, a compound, the right one, is going to be the fix. It's going to be the solution for all these difficult problems. Save on time, save on the possible issue of damaging or breaking parts as well. Again, of the two parts, we have a copper base, we have an aluminum base. The copper base, because it's a great heat transfer, is to be used in conditions of high heat, such as spark plugs, the brake caliper mounting, the head bolts for your exhaust system where it mounts all through the system. Any place where you got a lot of heat, use the copper base anti-seize. The aluminum base anti-seize we use for other things, such as subframe. You could use it in the triple clamp mounts. You could use it in the handlebar clamp mounts. You could use it in body panels where metal and metal goes together. We could use it there to make sure it never has any issues months down the road. Like I said, it acts as like a mild lubricant. It definitely installs great. You could still install everything to factory specs with no issues, no worries about, oh, it's lubed and it's going to come loose later. That doesn't happen. One of the key things about using anti-seize is the right amount. And that's what we're going to take a moment to show you here on a spark plug and a couple bolts. So when using anti-seize, one of the big mistakes we see a lot is people use way too much. It looks like they take the bolt or the spark plug and they dip it into the bottle and it comes out gooped on. And that, I'm sure you've all experienced where later on you got so much silver all over your hands and everywhere, you look like the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz. The key to it is use a very little amount. So for all the explanations or demonstrations here, I'm going to use the copper base because it'll be easier to see how much you use. So when you put it on, you just go the full length of the bolt of the threaded area that you're going to use, and that's about all much you're really going to need. So there it is, and what you can do is just take, because when you thread it in, the threads and the rotation, everything's going to send it all the way around. You could just do a light compound like that. With flange head bolts, the bolts that have the flange head, you want to make sure you install a little bit of the anti-seize there, because we have seen those gall up. So again, we just use a little touch there. We just kind of wipe the brush across lightly there where we got a little bit of anti-seize all over the product. You just kind of got to walk it around a little bit. That's all you're ever going to need for any anti-seize application of the aluminum base, the copper base, any of it. That's going to get the job done. One of the other things we hear about is people, they don't like to use the anti-seize because they'd rather use Loctite. Now, Loctite is definitely a good product. It certainly helps to make sure nuts and bolts are secure. But with the Loctite, use only the blue, the light duty stuff. We can't think of an application where you want to permanently install something, even if the engine bolt cases, the studs and stuff like that. We'd always recommend the blue. You get everything in torque correctly to all factory specifications, you'll never have any issues. So we'd like to use the blue Loctite. Again, another feature we have is looking at safety wire. Some people say, oh, I'm worried about that being tight enough when I do the anti-seize on the brake caliper bolts. You can always use some safety wire to lock the two bolts together, and we're going to show you a good way to do it. Okay, before we get started on the safety wire, I got to put a little bit of light on the subject. I'm going to highlight one of our new kits here, the Tank Light Kit. We've developed for all the clear, the translucent tanks. We've got them in white, as this one shows. We got purple, we got green, we got a variety of colors. This is a great feature to easily see how much fuel you have. So let's take a look at the safety wire, what we're going to do here on the front calipers. We've taken our caliper bolts and we've drilled just a couple little holes in them so we could safety wire the two bolts together. That's going to prevent them from ever coming loose, from ever coming out. A great feature to have. What you want to do is just get some safety wire. Of course, you have proper safety wire pliers to use for this project. We just cut ourselves a little length of the wire. We're going to put it into the one hole we've got drilled here. Kind of thread it through. We get it to where we're about the middle, and we pull it kind of tight, and we kind of do a quick estimate of where it's going to match up to the hole on the underside where we're going to reattach it. At that point, we're going to take our safety wire pliers, we're going to clamp them together, we're going to lock the clamp into place, and then we're going to pull the bottom tool where it's going to rotate the wires. It's going to wind everything together, making for a real neat, strong application. And so we're just about there with what we need. We release it. We've got the wires free now. We're going to take the one wire and put through the hole we've created down here. And it comes through, and then just kind of do a quick little grab. You pull it through, you snug it down. Once again, you grab the wires, you hold them together, you do a quick little twist like that, you release your tool, you cut off the excess, and we've now got these calipers safety wired, or the bolts on the calipers safety wired together. They're not going anywhere but down the trail with you. So again, we strongly recommend using anti-seize compounds whenever you do your periodic maintenance, any kind of service you do on the bike. It's going to save you tons of headaches later down the road when you have to take things off and work on them again. And again, thank you for watching. And don't forget to give us a big thumbs up and subscribe to our newsletter on our news channel and Instagram. And don't forget, follow us on Facebook, and as always, your adventure begins here.
Je suis d'humeur 80s.
Yay, team.